welcome back to another unboxing video from Warmaster Podcast and Barry. So today we're going to be looking, I'm quite excited about this one, we're going to be looking at Cromarty Forge. I've gone past Kickstarter, straight to release on the website, and they're on pre-order at the moment for 10% off. Some new reinforcements for the Ratmen Nippon range. So we're going to be talking about the 6 units today. John kindly sent me some stuff to put on camera and review. I'm pretty sure I'm going to be giving half of them to Paul, so he'll be a happy fella. He can have the Ratmen side, and I'll have the more generic fantasy side. So you'll be seeing some pictures of them coming up, no doubt. So the first one we're going to look at are Ronin Ratmen. And here they come, the Ronin Ratmen. So we'll do the old blue ruler stuff, and we'll chuck them out. So for those of you that don't know how John does his miniatures, he's a 3D sculptor, so he sculpts these in 3D using, he's actually been on the podcast once talking about the software he uses to do it. I can't remember the name of it. So he sculpts in 3D, he then uses a resin printer to print them out, and then he outsources the production from the resin masters to metal miniatures to I can't remember the name of the company. That's really bad. So I don't want to use a name and then it not be that name. So that's why I'm not going to say the name outside. But so he produces 3D printed resins that then he gives to this company who make masters. In fact, they don't need to make masters there. You can just go straight to production because you don't need to worry about damaging the master because you can just print a new one. So that's how it works, and then you get lovely metal miniatures. Which I sound like sometimes I'm quite down on plastic and resin and stuff, and it's not. They definitely have their place, but this week I was putting up a gazebo in my garden, and the plastic guy ropes are just turned into dust. And you go like, well, if that was a metal chain, it definitely wouldn't have turned into dust. It may have rusted, it may have degraded slightly, but I don't know what the longevity of this stuff is, because some of my early GW plastics are so brittle now that you can just snap them without even trying. So, but maybe it's not going to be an issue, or maybe it is. But one thing you can guarantee is this stuff is staying around for the long haul. So we have here a flag, obviously, and these are done like bowmen in that they're in little stands of 2, so you snap them off in these 2 locations here, and you've got 3 stands of 2, and they normally have half a dozen of these little stands of 2 on a base. So we have, I'll try and go through them relatively quickly. We have some nice looking Ratmen Roni with katanas or whatever they be carrying there. I'm not 100% sure on my Japanese weaponry. Okay, so there are 6 stands in a unit, so you've got plenty of variety. Look at this fella here going. One thing about 3D printed is you do tend to get a lot of variety in the poses, because once you've got your basic model sculpted, it's quite easy to change some articulations on the arms and legs and stuff, and push them and pull them around. So we have a set of 6 Ratmen Ronin. And we'll measure them up. I'm pretty sure they're going to be 10mm or thereabouts. Yeah, so that looks about 10mm to me. Okay, good stuff. So next up is a set of Ashugaru Ratmen archers. So we have, I guess it'll be 6 strips again, similar to the Ronin. Yeah, so 6 strips of 4 models. I think the Ronin was 6 strips of 6 models, so that's a little bit different, isn't it? So 6 strips of yeah, 6 strips of 4 models. So these are quite interesting fellas. I like the Japanese vibe, and it's quite an interesting idea to like a juxtapose the Japanese and the Ratmen, and then you kind of getting your 2 armies for the price of 1. So I don't know if there is more than 1 set of sculpts on these strips, or if it is just 4 sculpts repeated over and over. It's quite difficult to see like minor changes in details. So like what do we call variant sculpts, because they're quite shiny. Even using the best I can here, it's quite difficult to see any crazy amount of detail. So any small variations, even though they're different sculpts and they may be obvious when they're painted, it's quite hard to pick out using using the setup I've got here. So yeah, nice little we got here, and then a little interesting foible for you. This is what happens when you have a stand and something goes wrong with the casting process and you lose part of a bow, maybe here, so you cut it off and you have a back, and then the same happens on another one, you have a front, and then you can just, because the way they're designed here, you can actually put those two bits together, and that's as good as a stand, isn't it? It's much more difficult to do when you've got a solid piece that's got maybe 5 or 6 miniatures in, and that is the real bone of contention with casting strips of miniatures. It really is quite hard work, which is probably why GW shied away from it in the end and just gave up on it, because it really is a pain in the arse sometimes. So we have Ashugaru Bowmen, Ashugaru Ratmen Archers. All these packs are £9, I think, if you're interested in getting any. Okay, next one is Ashugaru, sorry, 3, 2, 1. Next one is Ashugaru Ratmen. So these are your basic infantry type for the Nippon army. The equivalent of halberdiers in an Empire army. These are Ashugaru, and again we've gone for we've not gone strips, we've gone units of 2, so a bit of a change in the way we're doing these, I guess. Maybe that's a compromise to the casting, but so you'll have them going this way. That must be why the difference in the number of models on the Ronin ones as well, because we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then some bits again, which I explained in the last section, why you end up with these little separate bits. From my experience, it's always this fella, the banner, that causes the issue. So you may end up with 1 million of these 2 sections and hardly any of these banners to go with them. So we've definitely got a couple of variants here, because I can see there's a spear guy stood upright at the back of this one and not this one here. So we've got at least 2 variant strips and then the commandish strip. So these are your basic halberdier type infantry for the Nippon. So Ashugaru, and then you have your command. All very shiny. I wonder if he uses talc. Don't feel that talky to me, but I do put a lot of talc on. Maybe I'm a talc addict. Maybe I'm going to turn out I'm going to be riddled with talc. Maybe I'm addicted to talc. So that was the Ashugaru Ratmen. Now we're getting into the fantasy side of the pack. The stuff that really interests me, because I love the fantasy stuff. The kind of wilder the fantasy stuff, the better. So these are called Kamenu, which like, I think they're going to be like temple dogs or something, or temple hounds. Is that what they're called in the list? So they, God damn, what are these ugly things? So they're quite big for dogs, 10mm dogs, geez. So and I can't. Oh, they've got a strange face on them. Can you see the face there on my finger? It's almost bird-like, the face. I mean, I'm going to show my ignorance here, because yeah, maybe owl-like, maybe, I don't know, because I don't know what these models are sculpted using the art of, or I think John said he was getting some external art in for some of these, external concept art. So maybe I should have done some research and seen what they had, what they were modelled on. They're fantastic. Okay, so we've got a couple of. Let's see if we've got this. It's a repeat. I think. Is he? No, maybe he looks like a repeat, but he's not. He's just got a shorter arm, maybe, and maybe he's got a different variant face. And then he's a repeat, and this one looks different. Right, so I don't know what I'm going to use these for, but I'm definitely going to use these when I build my Nippon list. I've got quite a lot of the basic historical Nippon infantry from when I was trying to play Nippon before it was redone a long time ago. So this stuff will take care of the fantasy element of it, which is fantastic. So these are Komanu. Now, one more thing before we go, we need to get out the blue ruler for these because these could be anything. So they are. It's quite hard because they're not really stood up, are they? But they're about 15 mil and about. So, I wonder what they'd be on all fours. They'd be quite big, wouldn't they? They're certainly bigger than a horse. Yeah, certainly bigger than a horse. Even a GW 12 mil horse. Next up are Tengu, who are the flyers of the Nippon list. Let's see what these fellas look like. Oh, they are interesting. It's going to be quite hard getting a focus on the faces of these. So, looks like a beak. Obviously bird-like wings. Some nice stylized designs here to get some flow into the back. It's almost like they're carrying a ribbon behind them. And they're carrying spears. So let's see what we've got. Another one here. Look, we've got 2 ribbons. Excellent. Excellent. Let's see if we can find anything else any different. So there's a nice variety of miniatures here. Almost angelic, aren't they? I wish I could see their faces a bit. Oh no, look, it's like an eagle face, so you can see a little bit there. Eagle. These would. Hey, I may even use these as my Birdman in the Dogs of War army list. They're brilliant. I like these a lot. I don't know how I'd paint them. I don't know how I'd paint those ribbons. Because it's how do you do a flying stand to get some dynamism? No, that's the word. Dynamism into the miniature. And then this is a kind of like more modern way of doing it, isn't it? You have like stuff going on underneath the base that allows you to get the miniature off the floor. That's nice. Nice piece of skillful design there, John. I like those. And how many have we got? 1, 2, 3, 4, 9, I guess. Yeah, 9. Not 12 like some idiot did. 12 flyers. I don't know how. Even if they were, my flyers are even bigger than this. God knows how you're supposed to get 12 on in a unit. And they're about what's that? About 20 mil. And the final, and definitely the most exciting for me, are the Oni. Now Oni are like your big lumps. Without having the list in front of me, I can't tell you what actually they do in the new Nippon list that Chris has pumped out, because we've gone through a bit of a change. So the new Nippon list for Revolutions is a little bit different to the old list. So let's see how many different models we've got here. We've got one. I'm gonna have to pause, aren't I? So I've managed to sort them out, and it looks like there might be as many as 8 different sculpts in this unit. I think I only found one that looked duplicated. There's some, as all sculpting does, there are some variations on a theme. So these two are quite similar, obviously not identical because there's a bit of difference in the tails and the faces and the way the weapons are held, but they look like quite similar weaponry, but very nice. And then we've got these two, which are nothing like, are they? Why am I even showing them together? This guy here. Got this guy here. Oh, look at that. You can see he's got some big fangs there or something. Big tusks even. Brilliant. But this fella carrying a massive club. And then we got, I think this was the only one I found that looked so similar that I would say it's the same model, but maybe it isn't. Maybe the tails are different. Maybe there are some small differences, but again, it's quite hard to see, but it does look quite similar to me. And then God damn. One piece of repetition over a unit of 9 isn't really much to worry about at all. And these two, even though they've got a similar weapon, they're obviously quite different sculpts. So should we measure one of these up? See where we got? See what we got? What are we betting? 15, 18? It's got to be 18, hasn't it? So your standard ogre size, 18. Or your standard troll size. Your standard very, very big humanoid size. We can't see the face on that one. Is that the one? We got the best one already. You know, can't see the face on that one. Was that the one we just did? I think it's probably the one we just did. But yeah, that's 18. Lots of the faces are obscured, so it's quite hard. Oh, maybe we can get to this guy's face. Can we? Not really. Yeah, about 17 or 18 mil. Perfect, perfect, perfect big lumps. So you can use these as ogres or any other large infantry. 3 per base. Very nice. So yeah, that's the new range from Cromarty Forge. Well, not a new range. The expanding of the. Sorry, I'm just rattling the miniatures again. The expanding of the Ratmen Nippon range to cover maybe some of the stuff that's in the War Master Revolution army list that's kicking around online. So if you're interested in those 10mm centimeter warriors is the name of the web store. Cromarty Forge 10mm. This was an unboxing video. I'm Barry. Thanks for watching. Good night.